Hello and welcome to the June 16th edition of Speedway Digest Thursday Night Thunder, the most hardcore motorsports program on the internet. This is episode 239 of the series. I'm your host, Adam Jason Sinclair, and on tonight's program we'll be talking about NASCAR, IndyCar, FIA World Supercross, and whatever other motorsports news pops up into the conversation. Our guest tonight is Jed Korenthal, CMO of Phenix. Marcus Harrison won a wild Indy 500 with tons of late crashes and an epic sprint to the Outlast Award. But were you able to catch all the action? Imagine if you're able to watch the top three, Ericsson, Award, and Kanaan, battle it out in real time, while also seeing Jimmy Johnson's crash and keeping up on where Helio was all at the same time on your phone in the stadium without missing a beat. I bet you didn't know that you could have accessed this in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the Indy 500 app with the 5G multi-view experience powered by Phenix and Verizon. Basically, it's a visual version of the scanner, but on steroids. Choose up to 7 camera angles once, or zoom in on the one of your choosing. The stream is in real time and in sync, so what's on your phone is exactly what's happening on the track. You'll be watching turn 4 and turn 2 as if you were sitting there. As you watch, you can also add data overlays and dashboard gauges to track speed, throttle, braking, RPM, gear changes, and DRS. Essentially, you can watch the leaders at your own and your favorites all at the same time, or toggle between the field. The Phenix team was watching using this in the stadium, and said it completely changed the way they watched the race. They didn't miss a second. This could be you the next time you're at the track. Obviously, there are several similarities between the fan vision system and the multi-view 5G system. One of the best parts of the multi-view 5G feature is different, is that it's available to anyone on their smartphone for free. You don't have to purchase the fan vision system and deal with all the cords that come with it. All you need to do is download an app. For the Indy 500, it was the Indy 500 app. The technology behind it also improved as it uses 5G, so what you're watching on your phone is exactly what's happening in real time, and the picture is bigger and clearer. It allows more camera angles as well, providing the option of up to 7 camera angles as you watch. The broadcast audio of the race can also be processed through the multi-view, and it can be used as a supplement with the scanner. In terms of features, you can data overlays with dashboard gauges to track speed, throttle, braking, RPM, gear changes, and DRS, and to breeze toggle overlays and switch between camera angles. With the fall of fan vision, yes, the 5G multi-view certainly could be its tech-forward replacement that's available to everyone. Our guest tonight is going to be Jed Korenthal, the CMO of Phenix, and he should be online momentarily. I do not see him in the online studio right now, but he could be here. Let's go ahead and check. No, I don't see him in the studio. I don't hear him on. I actually do see him now. Here we go. Hey, Jed, how are you doing this evening?
Good. How are you?
Doing pretty well. Thank you very much. First off, can you tell us a little bit more about Phenix and what it does?
Sure. So Phenix is a video delivery platform where we're able to stream video in real time. And real time is defined as the moment that we pick up a signal from a camera, let's say, to the moment a user sees it on their device is about a half a second. So what we've tried to do is create a platform for when you stream an event or race, let's say, it's as though you're at the track itself, although you're actually not at the track. So we've eliminated all or most of all of the latency or the delay that people get in their stream. So you're seeing it at exactly almost the same time as somebody in the stands would be seeing it. And another kind of interesting feature of what we do is that we synchronize the stream across all the devices out there. So if you and I were watching a race, typically you may watch it, a certain amount of time behind the people in the stands, and I may be at a completely different time. So we're out of sync. So if we wanted to communicate, or if I sent you a note and said, hey, I don't know, Austin Dillon just won the race and you haven't seen the end yet, that would really ruin your experience. So we've eliminated that.
Cool. And how did you decide to get involved with motorsports in particular?
Well, so we have a really unique feature we call the multi-angle or multi-view feature. And what it allows you to do is watch an event from up to 7 different camera angles. So there are certain sports where this feature would be, we feel makes particular sense and has relevancy. Auto racing is one of them because tracks tend to be so large that if you're on one side of the track, you can't necessarily see the action on another side. We've done recently an F1 race in Miami, and as you know, the F1 tracks are scattered all over the place. So
Mhm.
if you're sitting in the stands around a straightaway, you can't see what's happening all around the racetrack. So
Yeah.
so it just makes a lot of sense for us to be working in the space.
You mentioned that I mentioned the promo that it was used in the Indy 500. You just mentioned it was used at the Formula One Grand Prix of Miami. There, what other races are you planning on having this system be available at, and how would you be able to download it for your own system?
Sure. So I know we're doing another F1 race in Austin later on this year. I believe it's in October. There may be another race in at some point in July. We're still kind of waiting to hear back from that. What we do is our client in this is Verizon, and it's really quite simple. They're trying to promote, as you can imagine, their 5G service. So anybody with a Verizon phone can download I mean, in Indianapolis, it was the IndyCar app. Typically, the race, the race app itself is includes our feature. So when you go to a particular race where we have the feature activated, all you have to do is watch it on your phone.
Awesome.
Well, yeah, it's really easy.
Growing up, who was your favorite driver?
Of all time,
Yeah.
Johnny Rutherford.
Oh, cool. I actually got to talk to him a couple times at
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, for some
Phenix race
reason,
before. Yeah.
yeah, for some reason when I was younger, I used to subscribe to Auto Racing Digest. I don't know if you remember that little sort of digest guide. And I don't know why I liked him, but he seemed like just a very sort of chill guy and just kind of did his business and won a lot of races.
Yeah. And this is a really good time to be involved in motorsports. I know there's a lot of expansion going on in IMSA, and IndyCar has some delays in adapting a new engine that they've been trying to put out there for the past couple of years. Do you think they're adapting if the new engine, the slowdown in that will end up hurting the viewership for the series?
I don't think so. I think it'll put. I think the idea of it, right, is to put everybody on a somewhat of an equal footing, and
Hmm.
so then you sort of have to get down to what's going to separate everybody, and I think the driver it will have an even more of an impact. So they probably like it because they're usually pretty confident in their ability. So I would think that they feel like they're going to win and they're going to show off their skills.
You got into it a little bit already, but how do you think that the 5G multi-view will help enhance the racing experience for people that not only at the track but away from it as well?
Well, I think it allows people to engage in the race more.
Hmm.
One of the things that we also do, which is kind of unique, is that we're able to synchronize data with the video stream. So while you're watching the race, you get a chance to see, all the data from race cars, the scanners, the RPMs, and all the different stats and data that's coming through in the course of a race. You get to access a lot of that data as well, and it synchronizes with the race itself. So it really kind of puts you, I don't want to say behind the wheel, but gives you a better sense, let's say, of what it would be like to be behind the wheel. So what we're seeing is that people just engage with it longer. So you just watch, you end up watching the race for a longer period of time.
Cool. And if my listeners are interested in getting more information about the 5G multi-view or any of the other stuff that Phoenix does, how would they be able to do that?
Well, you can certainly come to our site, which is phenixrts.com, and Phoenix is spelled PHENIXRTS.com without the O. We have a lot of information and case studies on our site, so we welcome people to come. And then, if you go to one of the other races that we have the multi-view activated, like the Austin Grand Prix, check it out and enjoy it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. I know it was a little bit of short notice, but it's great to have you on and great to hear a little bit more about the system.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much. I hope I can do it again.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. Take care.
Once again, that was Jed Kornthal, the CMO of Phenix. It's going to be worked with the 5G multi-view system with Verizon. Seems like it's a pretty awesome thing. I know that I have some friends who have the Verizon system, so maybe I'll be able to check it out sometime in the future. Are you a race car driver, crew chief, pit member, track owner? Maybe you're just a huge fan of the sport. Contact us to get your spot on the show. After all, you're here for 15 minutes of fame, and we'd love to hear from you. We have an awesome guest coming up next week. We've got Rick Ware of Rick Ware Racing, who'll be on to talk a little bit more about NASCAR, IndyCar, and as well as the FIA Supercross series, which he's just gotten involved in, as well as probably a few other different racing series, which I'm going to ask him about next week. Should be pretty cool to talk to him about that. As I said, he was originally slated to be on this evening, but we had a little bit of a communication fallout there, and it ended up being next week. So that'll be cool, and we'll get to talk to him next week. We also have some great guests coming up on the 30th of the month. We've got a car dealer who's going to talk about the problems currently with car dealers, the shortage of parts, the shortage of new cars and used cars, the insane prices they're getting for used cars now, and how the future of auto dealing will be different. He's got a new concept that we're going to be talking about there, which is opening up in New York as well as in Miami. So we'll talk about that on the 30th. It should be awesome to talk to him. We're going to have a little bit of a brief discussion here about motorsports. My co-host, Michael Malali-Capallo, is still currently on her leave for her maternity leave. So hopefully she's able to come back after the baby's born, but she is doing okay. She's had some health problems related to the baby. Hope she gets better from that. But she did help me with some questions for next week, and that's always awesome. And hopefully she helps me with some questions for the car dealer people as well. So I don't know really how much activity is going on there in the Pacific Northwest. I know they've got the race there in Portland coming up in a few weeks, the NASCAR race. So that'll be neat to see that. There is some on-track action this week in Knoxville for the Truck Series. That is always a great race to see there at the Knoxville racetrack. It's one of the dirt tracks. So it's kind of neat to see the trucks around the dirt track. So in Knoxville, Iowa. It'll be neat to see that this week. Should be pretty awesome. We're also going to have there's some other racing going on this weekend, of course, and we'll get into that a little bit more later when we have a review next week. But we do have a lot of articles about today on SpeedwayDigest.com. Be sure to check them out. We did, I believe, like 20 different articles today on various different racing things from all sorts of different information. Formula Drift had a little bit about that, and we had some information about the NHRA and a lot of other stuff about the current Rowdy movie that looks really, really neat. If you haven't heard anything about that, Rowdy is the information about Kyle Busch. It's going to be premiering next Thursday. So that'll be pretty cool, and we'll go ahead and watch that movie in the next few days. I do have a screener link for that, so I'm going to go ahead and watch the movie in the next couple of days. I have not seen it as of yet, although I was present there in Daytona when Kyle Busch had his devastating accident where he broke his ankles there and had some damage to his legs. It was really scary to see Kyle Busch's wife there running through the pit area towards him, and he was taken off to the hospital. It was just a really bad deal. And that's really the sort of accident that sometimes ends people's careers, and it'll be pretty interesting to see how the Rowdy movie talks about Kyle Busch in his year when he had the accident, went on to win the championship in the Cup Series. So be sure to check that out. That is premiering next Thursday in Nashville, and it'll be an interesting film to see. I think it'll be pretty awesome to see how that goes. Kyle Busch is quite a character, and it's awesome to think about how things have changed in the sport since he became a character in it. There are also some rumors, of course, that Kyle Busch might be leaving NASCAR this season. I'm not really one of the guys who subscribes to those rumors, although I do think that is always a possibility because he's got his his little kid now, his two little kids, and he's really focusing on his son's racing career and Braxton Bush's career. So there's always a chance that Kyle Busch might be leaving before his time, although he has had a really successful thing. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the guests we're going to have in 2 weeks. We talked a little bit of Rick Ware, who's going to be here on in the Thunderdome next week. But on the 30th, we're going to have 3 different guests. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Nestled in the rocks is a hidden gem. It's revolutionary the car buying experience, shaking up the car dealership business model. 26 Motors is a full-service pre-owned car dealership that puts the customer first, which is why you can find inventory to fit every budget, ranging from 2011 Dodge Caliber to a high-end 2013 Mercedes-Benz C-Class G300 4MATIC sedan. The company lives by the motto, we are not the same, and definitely they do things differently. Now we're going to go ahead and talk to them in a couple of weeks. It'll be 26 Motors, and that'll be pretty interesting to see how they do. We're going to talk about their expansion to Miami. They do have their current facility there in the Bronx. We might even get to take a tour there at their facility when they open, so that'll be neat. Hopefully, we get a chance to review a little bit more information about the current auto market, because I am not pleased with the way the auto market is right now. I'm currently in the market for a truck, and it's really, really hard to find what I'm looking for. So we'll go ahead and talk to him a little bit about that in the future. So that'll be interesting. Let's go ahead and mention a little bit more about Rick Ware next week. Rick Ware will be talking a little bit more about the FIM World Supercross Championship. They're making the World Supercross Championships, making waves in motocross and supercross world. As Global, the Australian company who recently earned the exclusive rights to manage and promote the FIM Supercross World Championship, recently unveiled plans for the comprehensive Global Championship Series. This new international series features an independent team ownership model, unprecedented financial support for teams and riders, expanded opportunities for global and local sponsors, and innovations to elevate the broadcast and in-stadium experience. The FIM Supercross World Championship represents the most progressive and ambitious platform to elevate the sport and expand its appeal across the world. Now we'll see how Rick Ware talks about that. I know they're going to have 4 teams in the World Supercross Championship, the WSX series. We have 2 in the upper level and 2 in the lower levels, and we'll review that a little bit with him next week. What I'm hoping to do to segue that into the future is possibly have the opportunity to hang out with Rick Ware there in the next few weeks, possibly at the next race in Daytona, which is like 2 months away now. I think it's the 27th of August, and we'll go ahead and cover his team as see how the weekend goes there in NASCAR. If we don't end up doing it with Rick Ware, we're going to try and work out a deal with Matt Collick, who we're supposed to have on the show a few times earlier in the season, and just didn't. Our schedules just didn't mesh up. So what we're hoping to do is do that, review the goings on of the race weekend there in Daytona, because we haven't done that for a few years. The last time we did that was with Cole Witt, if you remember. If you watch follow me on Twitter at Favorplums, FABORPLUMBS. You'll find the interview that I did with Cole Witt there when he was one of the NASCAR Young Guns, and they had their largest rookie class ever a few years back. So that was the last time I had the chance to hang out in the garage area and hang out behind the hauler and watch the race from pit road and that sort of stuff. It was pretty awesome. It was a great weekend. So it was really neat, and I'd love to do it again. And that's why I'm working to try and work with Rick Ware Racing as well as possibly Matt Collick Racing. And I'm also trying to get a media access to the race there in Daytona in August. So we'll see how that goes. It should be a great season of racing, though, and we're looking forward to it. Now, let's go ahead and see here where we at in the script. We're going to go ahead and review it here. As I stated, if you're a race car driver, crew chief, pit member, track owner, team owner, of course, or perhaps you're just a huge fan of the sport, contact us to get your spot on the show. After all, you deserve your 15 minutes of fame, and we'd love to hear from you. As I stated, we do have the next 2 weeks booked, but we're currently booking for July and August. So July will be a little bit haphazard, and August might be as well. But we've got plenty of weeks there in July and August that we're trying to fill, and we'd love to talk to you. The easiest way to get information about me is to go to for contact for being on the show is to go to speedwaydigest.com. Check out the racing news sections at the bottom of the page, or you can just click up at the top on the news thing. You've got a racing news icon, and you can find me down at the bottom. My name's Adam Sinclair. I write a bunch of articles there for the racing news section for Speedway Digest. But we also do, on occasion, articles for the NASCAR Cup Series, and the Speedway news section was more of a racetrack type news for things happening at tracks and that sort of thing. Some releases about series going to Speedway news thing. Every so often I do an e-racing thing, which is the online racing. We've done some stuff for various different NASCAR online things, as well as some of the IndyCar online series. So be sure to check that out as well. Speedway Digest is a great clearinghouse for information about racing. I try to bring a lot of perspective about different series in addition to NASCAR, but of course NASCAR, as they say, is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. And I do, and in occasion, have to cover them. And there's some great stories out there. Like I said, the Rowdy story there about the movie about Kyle Busch. Something you really have to check out past episodes of Thursday Night Thunder, as well as the other show, Speedway Radio Network at speedway.podbean.com. Unfortunately, I believe we are the only active show on the Speedway Digest Radio Network. I know in the future there are going to be others. And you can check out past episodes of the Speedy Digest, as well as the Pit Stop with Tim Spain on speedwaydigest.podbean.com. You just have to scroll back to a year or two ago, but they're all on there. You can also check out the show on Facebook by searching for Speedway Digest Thursday Night Thunder in the search bar, or simply by going to facebook.com/SD Thursday Night Thunder. I also invite you to read the articles covering all aspects of motorsports at speedwaydigest.com. As I stated today, I had a great opportunity to publish a bunch of different stuff about motorsports at speedwaydigest.com in the racing news section. The last one I published, of course, was about Formula One. That was an article from Vegas Insider, where they gave me information about they have a contact with Emerson Fittipaldi. They talk to a lot. They talk to Juan Pablo Montoya every so often. So it's always neat to get their perspective on racing as it is. And they had a really good thing about George Russell and about the porpoising problem that the cars have had recently at different events. And that actually came up today in the FIA. So if you want to check out the article about the Formula One, be sure to check that out at speedwaydigest.com in the racing news section. It's the article about George Russell from Emerson Fittipaldi. In addition, if you're a fan of South Florida, and who isn't, be sure to check out the latest news and information about our slice of paradise and my blog site, For Plum's Fantastic Finds. It can be found on Facebook, on Twitter. The easiest way to find on Twitter is to go to @PBHappening, and by heading to For Plum's Fantastic Finds. That's FABORPLUMBS, fantasticfinds.wordpress.com. I also had a chance to do a lot of articles on there today. A lot of those are about theme parks, and I know that some of you are really big theme park fans, some of you are not, and that's fine. But for those of you who are, I had a lot of great stuff there about theme parks today. Some great Legoland information, some good information about the Universal Orlando, and a little bit of information about Wild Adventures, which is a theme park in Valdosta, Georgia. They've always been really helpful to me, and I think you should check them out. So be sure to go to For Plum's Fantastic Finds.wordpress.com, or going to Twitter. That's @PBHappening, the easiest way to find that on Twitter, or even, of course, you can find it on @ForBorePlums, FABORPLUMBS, which lists the information from the Fantastic Finds as well as from Speedway Digest. The articles I post there are both listed at that address. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you again next week in the Thunderdome as we discuss the major issues in the world of modern auto racing. As I stated, we're going to be welcoming Rick Ware of Rick Ware Racing next week. It should be pretty cool to talk to him and see how his perspective is. Thanks again, and have a great night.